What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit YouTube channel. My name is Meko, joined once again by my guy Morgan Cannon, and this is your go-to place for all things Lions related. That includes news, updates, analysis, and so much more. Morgan, today we are going to be jumping into another All-22 film study, and this time centered around one of the more talked about positions on the Lions roster this offseason. Who would have thought that on an offense that already features Jared Goff, David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and a host of other players, that we would still find a way of making so much noise about the backup quarterback competition. But I do think there is some things that are happening on tape to help people like maybe better understand what it is that Kyle Allen is doing so well and where Hendon Hooker still has room to grow. Not to necessarily say that he hasn't improved, because I think that's been one thing that I've been trying to avoid, is to say that he hasn't improved, because he has, but there is still areas where he needs to get better.
Yeah, and to your point, it is funny how much time we spend talking about backup quarterbacks, but it's the preseason and it's training camp, so it is what it is, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with Hendon, there has been improvement, and I'm glad you said that, because some of it, there's hiccups, right? There's still flaws in like the process, and we're going to get into it. But he's also not been helped sometimes, man. Like even the pick to end the Dolphins game, that was just a fantastic play. Like, I'm not really going to fault him for it. We'll get into it, but there's been drops. He scrambled for a touchdown against the Dolphins. He got called back on a hold on Gio Manu. So there's always context around it, but there's also just Allen's outplaying him right now, and that's just a fact of the matter, right, Miko?
Yeah, and I think there's the things that we're going to break down on tape where I think if you're the Lions coaching staff, if I had to guess, because we're not in that room, so we can't necessarily say like definitively like this is what they're prioritizing over this. But I do think, Morgan, there are some basic things that they're probably looking at from a lot of their positions. But if we're specifically talking about quarterback, there's probably some very specific things that they're looking at that backup quarterback to be able to do. Can you, get to your reads on time? Can you deliver the ball accurately? Can you deliver it to the right person accurately? Like those types of things is when you have as many options and weapons as this offense does. Even with Jared Goff, like it's not like they're expecting him to make magic. They're just expecting him to make the right reads at the right times and make the right throws as accurately as he can.
Yeah, and Goff is really, really good pre-snap. So like what I mean by that is just IDing what's happening pre-snap. Like sometimes you can fool him, but he's a vet at this point. He's seen dang near everything, right, Miko? Like we're going to try to fool you with this, or, we're going to mug the line of scrimmage, and like, okay, he's played Brian Flores a bunch of times now. It's just so, but at the same time, for a younger quarterback, it can be a lot to deal with. And that's really what happened in that last rep that we're going to get into for Hooker. Like, there was a lot going on pre-snap. But to Miko's, the first point is really just playing on time. Like, can you play on time? It's what, you're hearing out of Chicago right now. Ben Johnson's trying to get Caleb Williams to play on time. And same goes for the backup quarterback situation. And that's one of Hooker's bigger struggles, in my opinion, right?
Yeah, that's, I think, probably like number one with a bullet next to it, is his ability to just operate on schedule, on time. And then when that doesn't happen, there's a domino effect. But first and foremost, let's start with Kyle Allen, because like you said, like he's clearly doing enough things right now to have him out in front, and he's doing a phenomenal job as QB2 right now for this team. So we're going to only basically look at a handful of plays to really kind of highlight the difference between these two players. The first play that we're going to look at, this is going to end up being a play action, a crossing route to Tom Kennedy. And Morgan, the thing that I love so much about this play, that really speaks to what we were just talking about, is that we're going to see how Kyle Allen is able to work on time, right? Basically, and by working on time, I mean as soon as he hits that back foot, ball's coming out. He knows where the ball is supposed to go. He's delivering it accurately. Now, this is an incompletion because it is a little high, but you also have to take into account like he's trying to layer this throw over linebackers, and it is a crossing route. So there does have to be a little bit more air put on it, but it still hits Tom Kennedy in the hands. And so there is an argument to be made there that this should still be a catch.
Yeah, and that's what coaches are going to tell you. Still should have been a catch because it did hit him in the hands. Tom Kennedy's not the biggest receiver, so you kind of take that into account too. But to your point, I like it because when we run it, he hits that back foot. It's on time. It's on target. And if that were Amon-Ra or Jameson or whoever, no disrespect to TK, it's a pro, but it's probably caught and gone for like another 10 or 15 yards, to be honest with you, because it was open and
Hmm.
it is a layered throw. So that's when you hear that from like football, like analysts or commentators, they're throwing it over the linebacker, but in front of the DB. So there has to be a good amount of touch to it, right, Miko?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Tom Kennedy here down at the bottom of the screen. Lions are in I formation. You're going to see the fake to the running back. And then, like we said, as Tom Kennedy kind of hits that back foot, fake to the running back, hits that back foot, ball comes out, gets it over the linebacker, and yeah, just outside the reach of Tom Kennedy, right? But everything that you want to see from a quarterback in this play, Morgan. I mean, boom. He's back there. He's able to survey the field. He has eyes on Tom Kennedy. He sees him coming out of his break. Right then and there, ball comes out.
Yep. A nice clean pocket too. So shout out the first team O line for this, or the first team, but you know what I mean. The people who started the
Second team O
game.
line, first team preseason O line is what we can call them.
Yeah, like nice clean pocket though. To your point, and that's that's I'm not going to count right here and now, but like if that's a 7-step drop, that takes a little bit of time. But like you talked about, they did it out of the eye, so they had a couple extra bodies there. Yeah, you would like for Tom to catch that, and I'm sure he'd tell you he needed to catch it, but overall, good process. So the next play, we have Hooker on a similar concept. He's under center. The Lions are in 11 personnel, and just a misses, right, Miko? Like it's a little bit off, and the timing is off, the throw is off, and it ends up being incomplete.
Yeah, and this is one of those like direct comparisons, right? So again, not the same formation, but it's a similar type of concept. The idea is that you're still going to be faking the run, hopefully getting, you know, the defense to kind of bite on the run and hopefully being able to layer a throw over the top. And he's going to be throwing this ball to the outside receiver here, breaking on an in route. And like you said, Morgan, the timing is a little bit off, but I also think the read is off here, right? Like he gets too stuck on his first read and doesn't do a good enough job, in my opinion, of moving to his second read, which is probably a little bit more open. And we'll kind of like stop it when we get to that point to kind of show the difference of when this ball is getting ready to be delivered and who it probably should have went to. So again, we have here Hendon Hooker hits his back foot. The ball should probably be out right now, Morgan. And this is where I say, if you look at the top receiver, he's kind of sandwiched between the outside corner and then the safety that kind of is covering the shallow part. But you have Dominic Lovett here from the slot that's pretty much speeding past the safety. Would be a very tough throw. But in my opinion, like this is where the read should be. And this is a throw that Hendon Hooker absolutely should have ripped up the seam. Maybe could have thrown it a little back shoulder to maybe protect Dominic Lovett, keep it away from this single high safety. But he doesn't. He instead throws it to the outside, and it's a tougher throw.
Yeah, he kind of, like you said, he gets locked on the whoever's running this in breaker up here. Because it's not really, it's open in theory. Like if you rip it now and you throw it towards the middle of the field, but he misses a little bit high. And yeah, I agree with you. If he wanted to rip this ball up the seam and put it on the right shoulder of Lovett, I think that would be, because we know that guy's in man with that in breaker now. You see that he's in man, so you have that ability to rip it onto that outside shoulder. But also you could just throw it to Ronnie Bell right there, and I think he agrees. Right, he's jumping up and down at the end of the play if you'll watch it, and I think it's just a little bit of a miss again, and you could probably throw it to Bell here and live to play another down. Tough.
Yeah, it's another thing that he's going to have to improve in, and I think it's the difference between him and Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen was able to make his first read. His first read was wide open, and he was able to stick with that read. In this situation, Hendon Hooker's first read is not as open, right? And it's probably would have been in his best interest to move off of that first read, get to his second read, and then if he still didn't like his second read, like you pointed out, Ronnie Bell's open in the middle of the field for an easy like hitch route that probably is it's not a first down, but it's a solid 5, maybe 6 yards if he's able to catch that and turn up field.
Yep, I'm right there with you, man. He might be, that's where we talked about it at the top, if you guys remember, like about the just playing on time. And he just he gets locked in. He's a little bit slow to move from hit read to read, right? Like he's not snapping through it. Like if you ever watch tape on Goff, it's boom, boom, boom. He's moving quick.
And it's what the Lions want their, like, again, it's what they want their quarterbacks, and it's how they want their offense to operate. It shouldn't take, super long for plays to develop. Like you even mentioned in that first play with Kyle Allen, it's a bit of like a 7-step drop almost off that play action. That's the time that it should take the receivers to get open, and like the expectation is that you should still be able to hit that back foot and deliver the ball. So whether it's a 3-step drop or a 7-step drop or longer, like the expectation is that's the amount of time it should take for a play to develop. It shouldn't take a ton of surveying, unless, again, you're going from first read to second read, depending on how many options you have available to you. So for the next play, we're basically going to go jump into the second play from Kyle Allen that I thought he did a fantastic job. This is probably one of my favorite plays that he did. And this is going to be basically, it's going to be 4 verticals, right? Everyone, or 3 verticals. Sorry. 4. Yeah.
That's 4, yeah.
Receivers.
You good.
4. So the Lions are going to run 4 verticals. And once again, we're going to see how efficiently Kyle Allen works through his progressions, where this is almost like as soon as he hits his back foot again, like this is going out to Jordan Meeks almost immediately. It is Jordan Meeks, right? Like I just blanked.
Jackson
Meeks. That's what I'm like, that does not sound right. So yeah, Morgan, as soon as he hits his back foot, this ball is coming out immediately to Jackson Meeks up the seam. And it's a really gutsy throw, because you have to throw this with a good amount of anticipation. There is going to be like a linebacker underneath. There's going to be a safety over the top. But again, being able to survey the field and just have enough confidence and understanding of where the ball needs to go is something that Kyle Allen has displayed a lot throughout this preseason. And this play right here is a good example of that.
Yeah, and you can tell he's confident in what he's seeing pre-snap, in my opinion, because like you talked about, he's throwing this with a good amount of anticipation. And so he's just knowing, like, this is just, to me, comes with experience, right? Like Kyle Allen's seen plenty of live bullets in the NFL through his experience. Has it all gone well? No. But has some of it gone okay? Yeah, because he is pretty smart and knows where to go with the football if you're going to make it obvious pre-snapped here. Like the Dolphins didn't really do much to disguise what they were doing. It looks like they're dropping 3, you could argue 4. And yeah, he just knows if I just rip this up the seam and layer it in there, I can get a nice big gain. So, and man, Jackson Meeks is balling. Good to see him playing so well.
Yeah, I mean, he's truly taken advantage of the opportunity that the Lions have given to him, especially once Dominic Lovett went down. Yeah. Last 2 games, he's been absolutely playing well alongside Kyle Allen. So yeah, these are the types of things that like we've been saying that the Lions want to see from their backup quarterbacks, right? Being able to deliver the ball with confidence, being able to deliver it accurately, and deliver it on time.
So next play, we're jumping back to Hendon Hooker, and the Lions are backed up here. It looks like it's on the 12. It's a sprint out, right, towards the bottom of your screen. So essentially what they're trying to do is just use Hooker's athleticism, move the pocket, and make it a little bit easier for him, while they're backed up and, Dolphins might get aggressive. And he just ends up taking a sack here, which kills me, because either get it out of bounds, throw it at somebody's feet, do something other than take a sack where you're already backed up inside your own inside your 20, right, Meko?
Yeah, and this was his first pass of the game, if I remember correctly. And while this is not the same type of play that Kyle Allen just ran, it's still the same principle, Morgan, of like, you got to make decisions quickly. And with a play like this, where you're only working on one side of the field, it's like you said, it's a sprint out. So you only have probably 1 or 2 options. And once you realize that both of those options are no longer available to you, like you said, you gotta get rid of this ball, right? Either you got to chuck it out of bounds, because at this point in time, because it's a sprint out, you have no threat of intentional grounding at this point. But at the same time, number 80 at the bottom of the screen maybe is open, right? But at the same time, you got to have that confidence to rip it right then and there, right? You can't look at that and be like, well, the corners is in close proximity. Look, either you make that throw or you chuck it out of bounds. It's one or the other.
Yeah, and to your point, like that's where Goff is so excellent again, is like that route that him and St. Brown have down to like the precision of the gods. You know what I mean? Those quick outs, those speed outs now, where they just round it off because the timing has got to be there. So yeah, you got to throw it as he's making a break, because if you don't, those are the passes that get picked off and taken back for an easy 6. You know what I mean? Those deep outs. towards the boundary. So yeah, you just don't want to, like we talked about, folks. You don't want to take a sack there, man, because now you're at what, like the 4, and that's the stuff that kills the coaches, right, Meko? You're like, come on, man, we can't do that.
Well, because this was also second down, right? So instead of you possibly being at, I think the play before this was like a short run. So instead of this being, maybe 3rd and 8 or, third and 4, if you make that throw in the first place, like now you're at 3rd and 14 at this
Yeah,
point. And now like the way Dan Campbell coaches this football team, like that's a draw play. Like they're not even going to risk trying to like move the ball too far down the field. Like they're gonna run a draw and just try and get better punt coverage at that point.
yeah, you got to live to fight another day, man, because that's the, you try to convert, and fans get mad sometimes, but I think most get it. But there's still some that are like, oh, what did they do? I'm like, because man, the odds are just too high that something catastrophic like a pick six or a safety would happen, and you just, so yeah, that's a drive killer, man. That's what I looked at there, and the fact that they did the sprint out like we talked about, it's just extra salt in the wound at that point because you're trying to not have that happen.
Yeah, these are the types of plays I think, in my opinion, Morgan, that frustrate Dan Campbell probably the most with Hendon Hooker, because these are simple reads. Like it's not like you have to go from one side of the field and try to reach the other. It's two options, and it probably, like I said, it's probably really only one option because of the nature of the play. You either throw it to 80 or you chuck it out of bounds. And I know Hendon Hooker's athletic and he's probably like, I can make something happen. But brother, at year 3 in the league, you got to just understand that like it's better to fight another down, and like understand, to your point, if you can just show like the intelligence to be able to be like, okay, it wasn't there and I had to get rid of it, like that at least still
Plus,
shows growth. That shows like maturity in the offense in that situation as well.
yeah, like Miko said, time and place. You know what I mean? Time and place, man.
All right, man. So next play that we're going to get to for Kyle Allen, and it will be the last play that we break down for Kyle Allen, touchdown pass to Isaac Seslaw. And this is a beauty, because once again, it requires a great deal of accuracy. It requires a great deal of trust. And you have to understand where your receivers are going to be on the field and be patient. This requires a little bit more patience. The pocket does get a little muddied around him, but he still stands in there, makes a great throw, and allows his playmaker to go up there and make a big time play.
Yeah, they're running it out of a bunch to the top of your screen, and it's an interesting route. Me and Miko talked about this for a bit before we got on, and you're going to see him chop his feet at about at the 10. So he runs a good bit to get to the 10-yard line. He's going to chop his feet like he's going to snap the route off, and instead runs, like loops it out a bit, and is able to just, Kyle Allen does a great job to just throwing it to his spot, right, Miko, and letting Tesla make this play.
Yeah. And it's interesting to see like Tesla look back for this ball so far down the field. Like he kind of expected this to come to him. So again, understanding reads and progressions, understanding what is supposed to be happening on this play, because just because everybody runs out for a route, Morgan, doesn't mean that everyone's technically like the viable option for a play.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, and you can see again, to Miko's point, Allen is comfortable and confident with what he's seeing pre-snap. He's like, all right, if I get this look, I'm going to cut this thing loose to Tesla and let him make this play. I'm just going to throw it towards the pylon, and we'll see if this big boy can go get it. And he did, man. I give him credit. And then do you
Yeah.
see guys, I don't know if you guys didn't see it already, but the clip of him beating DJ Reed in practice, I'm like, oh boy.
There's
Boy.
there's a lot to be excited about when it comes to Isaac Tesla. And if he's able to get these types of opportunities in the regular season, fans are going to have a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, it's a tool that the Lions have and they don't have in the red zone. Like, Tim Patrick's this kind of player, but these kind of routes, like you could throw this to JMO, maybe Saint, depending on the situation, but this is a big body, like going to get a rebound, in my opinion, like a tight end-esque route. It's like some Antonio Gates stuff, bro. Like when he would just wall people off or just like box people out in the red zone. So yeah, it's a great route, great throw, and kind of cementing the conversation we're having here with Allen over Hooker, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So our last play of Hendon Hooker and the last play of the video, we're going to see an example of maybe Hooker not being so confident with what he sees pre-snap. We just saw an example of Allen being comfortable. He's like, okay, if I get this look, I'm going to rip it. Now with Hooker, you're going to see the nickel up there who's lined up over, I don't know who that is. It's not Jackson Meeks. The other receiver inside of Jackson Meeks that's on the line of scrimmage. You're going to see him kind of go towards the line of scrimmage. Okay, am I going to stay back and cover? Am I going to blitz? And they're going to motion. I think that's Horton over towards that side of the ball, and you can tell that's the read for Hooker. You're looking over there, and I just don't know if he doesn't see it or he sees it and he thinks he can still throw it through. But it's a tough play, right, Meko? Like the fantastic play from the Miami defensive back here, but what do you think? Are you really gonna like? I can't really chalk this up as a big negative for Hooker.
I don't know, right? Because like they do still seem fairly comfortable with what they're getting here, right? Like they feel confident in the sense that even if they blitz this nickel off the edge, you're throwing into the teeth of the blitz, right? So that's why like Zach Horton is so wide open, is because they're blitzing from this side of the field. You have one less man out there to cover. I don't know where the breakdown is here though, right? Is it should Hendon Hooker pump fake this? Should he whatever the case may be? But I do think that maybe there probably should have been more communication, because once this corner starts to creep up to the line, right? We see the receiver point at him and goes in motion. And like, I don't know if Hendon Hooker like is ever even processing this. Like, I don't know if he took notice of this. I don't know if it's too little too late because Horton's already in motion. So it's like, no, we just got to run the play now. But there's something that breaks down here that doesn't lend itself well to Hendon Hooker in the rest of this play. I do still tend to lean more so to good defensive play and not so much like terrible offensive play. But you do wonder, like, if this is Jared Goff, like how does he treat this play? How does he react to this to be able to run a similar play like this?
I think he throws it towards the feet of, who's this back here, Sailors?
Yeah.
I think he probably just dirts it at Sailor's feet. But, I'm not going to kill Hooker for it, but to your point, like I guess the overarching theme of this video is just him not, if he didn't see this, I guess it's a double-edged sword. If he didn't see this, that's a big problem, right? Because whoever that was it Keeney James, that receiver? I don't know if maybe that was.
Listen, outside of like Jackson Meeks, Dominic Lovett, and Isaac TeSlaa and Ronnie Bell, everybody else is kind of like,
I know.
It's a lot of numbers. So number 80.
Yeah. He pointed to him. And so if he didn't see it, that's a big problem, like Meko said. And then if he did see it and he's still like, I know you guys have seen those throws where Stafford or whoever, Burrow's good at doing it, where they drop that arm angle and throw it around a blitzer, because I don't know who was hot in that clip like we just had, but when I say hot, I mean the quarterback has to know, like, okay, if there is a free runner, I got to go here with the ball, or I got to, it's a quick boom, it's out. It's got to go because you got no one to block that free runner that's coming to pummel you. You know what I mean, as a quarterback. So yeah, it's a tough play, and sucks that the game ended that way for Hendon, because the drive was, turning up a little bit.
Yeah, the other plays on that drive, you did see him be better with his decision making. It's a lot of shorter routes. He ran out, like he threw a lot of like in breaking like hitch routes to Meeks on this drive, but it was still the stuff that you want to see. Quick decisions, throwing it to the right receiver. But in a situation like this where like, okay, great, you're getting down into the red zone, you still have to do those things. Those still, like, those mechanics still have to apply in that situation. And it's an interesting play because I don't know, like we keep saying, I don't know if all the blame goes on him. Obviously it's easy to put the blame on him because he's the one that throws the interception, but yeah, like what is the option in that situation? Should he just throw it at the feet of Sailors? Should Sailors be quicker to get out to pick up that linebacker so that he doesn't have an easy opportunity to jump up and try and disrupt that pass? There's a number of things that could be questioned there, but it's hard to fault him where like one of the biggest criticism is like, hey, he needs to make decisions quickly. And then the one time he makes a decision, like one of the times he makes a decision really quickly, it results in that. And it's not because it wasn't the right read. Like Zach Horton is wide open on that play.
Yeah, the play worked the way you'd want it to. Even if I don't think even if that nickel didn't blitz, the way they ran those clear out routes, like Meko said, Horton was open. So there's just multiple things went wrong, and heck of a play. Hat tip to Miami, but just a tough break and a tough end for what was another bumpy game for Hendon Hooker, man. So do you think, Meko, at this point, it's cement? Like, do you think there's anything Hooker could do to upend this battle at this point?
In order of winning the QB2 job, no. I still think there's plenty he could probably do to justify and convince the Lions to carry 3 quarterbacks. I think going into this last preseason game, depending on how much of it he gets to play as well, because maybe they give him more of the game to play if they feel super confident in Kyle Allen. But if not, like, going out there when you get your opportunity and just having a good game, showing that you are still improving, could be just enough to make the Lions think like, okay, we should still carry 3 quarterbacks, because just in case, we know this team likes to have a third quarterback, whether that's 3 on the active roster or just 2 on the active roster and 1 on the practice squad. But do anything that you possibly can at this point to make sure that you can at least sway the decision in your favor. And one other thing I wanted to say too, before we kind of get out of here, I think it's also important to remember that 2 things really. One, if Hendon Hooker has, as much as he's lost this job, it has been also equally important that Kyle Allen has won this job. And that's why we highlighted the things that he's done right, because he's done so much right in this preseason. And that's what's led to him being the front runner for this QB2 job. The other thing I also wanted to highlight, Morgan, is Hendon Hooker isn't losing this job off of a few plays, right? We highlighted a few, but it's not like those aren't the only reasons why he's like possibly losing this quarterback job and why he may not be on this roster this season. Like, it's a domino effect from multiple games and multiple situations where he just hasn't made the right decision, hasn't protected the ball well, or just tried to do too much when the Lions are expecting him to just make the easy decisions.
Yeah, bro, I'm right there with you. I echo everything you're thinking with that, and yeah, it's a cumulative effect for Hooker, 100%. Like when not Brad wasn't coaching, but when Dan pulled him before the end of the before he was supposed to play the full half of the what game was that?
The Atlanta game.
The Atlanta game. Dang, that's not that wasn't good in my opinion, because that shows that that whole coaching staff was pretty frustrated at that point with the ball security, and just like Meko said, not being able to operate the offense like even semi-efficiently. And that's the issue. So we'll see if he balls out and he makes it a conversation to want to keep 3 quarterbacks. I think that would be a good sign at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a positive trend in the right direction for Hendon Hooker in that situation. But that's pretty much going to do it for us, guys. Love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below. What do you guys think about the quarterback battle so far? Where do you think you've seen Kyle Allen excel the most? And where do you think Hendon Hooker still has the most to improve in order to either A, make it onto this Lions roster, or even just to be able to make it onto another NFL roster this upcoming season? Would love to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Also, if you guys are looking for any more additional Lions content, you can always check out prideofdetroit.com. There are new articles being posted over there every single day. In addition to that, you can also check out Pride of Detroit Direct, which is a paid yearly subscription of $50 for the entire year. You get bonus written content as well as extra video content. If you guys used to listen to First Bite over on the Pride of Detroit podcast, that is actually moved over to Pride of Detroit Direct. It's also where you can catch Jeremy and Eric's training camp observations. Basically our last week of training camp, right? So again, if you want to be able to see those last bit of observations, the Lions will be having a joint practice with the Houston Texans tomorrow. If you want to see and get first dibs on like what happened at practice, you'll definitely want to check those out by subscribing to Pride of Detroit Direct. Also, if you want to stay locked in with all the video content we're doing over here on YouTube, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Those things help out the channel immensely, but it also makes it that much easier for you to find our content in the future. So with all that said, I'm Meko, he's Morgan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch, and we'll see you guys in the next one.